All right, we're joined on the line by lead singer Tom Gable of Against Me, who's actually down in Vancouver right now. They're finishing off their Canadian tour. How's the Canadian tour been going, Tom?
It's been amazing. We were lucky enough to tour with Japanther and St. Alvia, and they've been awesome guys and awesome bands to watch each night.
Awesome. And we know you guys play with a lot of intensity. We actually had a couple of our DJs and some listeners go down to watch you guys play with the Foo Fighters just a few months back in Vancouver, and they said, yeah, it was just intense passion performance from you guys. So when you're looking for a band that's going to travel with you, in this case Japanther and the St. Alvia Cartel, do you look for that same intensity, or what's the process when you're picking someone to come with you?
Well, I mean, we kind of view our choices and openers as our chance to expose our fan base to other music that we like and we think is cool. And we kind of make it a point not to pick bands that sound like us, and to make it a point to pick artists that we respect and think that should be heard, so that hopefully when people come out and see us, they're not just walking away being like, oh, Against Me was really awesome, but they're also like, oh, Against Me and Japanther and St. Alvia were awesome. I discovered these new bands I hadn't heard of before. Thanks, Against Me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of our chance to share music we like with people.
No, for sure. And now the new album, the first major label debut, New Wave. Of course, you guys had 4 full-length studio albums, but again, this is your first major label debut. It's doing amazing. And of course, Spin Magazine saying it was the best album of last year. What's your best album of the recent year or two? What's Tom of Against Me really into?
Ooh, that is a tough one. So far this year, I'd say some of my favorites have... I think the Vampire Weekend is a really good record. I like the Santo Gold record. I think the Crystal Castles record is amazing. I like the MGMT record, although I saw them play live and they were kind of a bit of a letdown. What's funny is we actually were turned on to them by the Foo Fighters. They would blast that record every night right before they went on stage, and you could hear it through the walls, and we were like, who is this? Just assuming it was some record from the 80s that we'd never heard before. And figured out it was MGMT, got really into the record, and we played a festival with them a couple weeks ago in Japan, and it was just like, oh man, what a letdown.
That's too bad. Now you mentioned Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters. What was it like touring with those guys? I mean, pretty much you can almost call Dave Grohl a legend in the industry. What was it like going out with those guys?
I mean, it was an unforgettable experience. I mean, he is totally a legend, and for me, when I was 12 years old, Nirvana changed my life, and to be able to go on tour with one of your idols is just an amazing thing. Not only one, but two. Then Pat Smear, being in the Germs. The Germs were another band that totally changed my life. I mean, I have a Germs cigarette burn on my wrist because I loved the Germs when I was 14. But so I mean, they're, of all the bands their size that we could have had the opportunity to tour with, they were definitely the best one. I mean, they're pretty much just a punk band playing stadiums.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned Nirvana, of course. Butch Vig worked with Nirvana, also, of course, a member of Garbage. You selected him to produce the latest album. Why Butch Vig?
Well, I think that, Butch had a history of working with bands that were kind of pretty much in the same situation that we were. Bands that were real bands that spent years, touring around in vans, playing dive clubs across America, putting out records on indie labels, be that Sonic Youth, Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, L7, Soul Asylum, you name it. The bands he worked with, he was kind of there for that transition they made to a major label and helped them develop their band further along, and make a step, make a growth, but at the same time really retain their soul and not put out some Frankenstein type monster that's horrible. So.
All right. I know we've been playing tons of the new album. Of course, Thrash Unreal Stop got huge airplay. Now we got the new single on Born on the FM Waves of the Heart featuring Tegan of Tegan and Sarah. Now that's a Canadian connection you got going on there.
It is. Well, I have a fondness for Canadians. I actually married a Canadian, too.
Oh, wow. There you go. How'd you get together with Tegan? Were you guys touring together and you just enjoyed each other's company, or how'd you get to work with her?
The summer before we recorded the record, we were on tour, and she was out being a guest VJ for, I think it was Much Music, and interviewed us, and kind of jokingly in the interview said that if we ever needed someone to do backing vocals on a record, that to ask her. And so that was the last song that was written for the record, and I wrote it specifically with her voice in mind. And, we demoed the song, sent her a copy of it, sent her a copy of the lyrics, and I was like, please, I wrote the song totally for you to sing on. Please,
nice.
Come down and do it. And she did. So.
That's great. And now when you guys are touring, obviously she's not with you. I heard Andrew does her part, and I heard he does a great job.
James does her part.
James does her part.
But he does do a horrible job.
Doesn't quite get the high pitch as her, I bet.
Not so much.
Not so
James
much.
has a beautiful voice. He's a little songbird.
That's awesome. Politically driven band, you guys are kind of known as. You got the primaries all finished. All the conventions are done. You're getting into the big voting season, I guess you could call it. What are your thoughts on whoever makes it in to be president? What do they got to do to help out the U.S.?
Well, I think it's kind of an unfortunate situation. I obviously, I'm going to vote for Barack, and I hope that he wins. But at the same time, if he does win and he gets into office, it's naive to think that he could solve all the problems that Bush created in 8 years in 4,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, any way you look at it, he's going to have his hands full, or whoever is president will have their hands full and will still be blamed for things not being better after the next 4 years. But I definitely think that Obama being elected would be a real step in the right direction.
Okay. Now, it feels like it's been going on forever. Like, we watched the coverage on CNN and all the major stations and networks. We actually just called an election a couple of weeks ago, and we're actually having one within, the month. We're very good up here at getting to the point, I guess. What do you think of the whole, political system down in the States?
Well, I find it frustrating. I'm not, as I said, I was voting for Obama, but I'm not a Democrat, and I don't have a lot of faith in the political system in the U.S. And I think that it's, kind of a scam in a way, having a choice between only two options, two-party system, and the way that, looking at the last election with Kerry and Bush and how, I don't know, it's not necessarily who wins the popular vote, who gets into office. It's a flawed system in my opinion.
Okay. Now we've asked the easy questions. Now it's the hard one. Your first album, Reinventing Axl Rose, Chinese Democracy, expected to come out. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, no, I am very excited about that. I have a lot of faith. We were actually, the other night, we were sitting on the bus listening to a copy of the new Metallica record. Mm-hmm. Which I don't really think is that good. I know it's getting some positive praise because there are some solos on it, and some of the music is decent, but Jesus Christ, the lyrics are some of the worst lyrics I've ever heard.
Love is a 4-letter word. That's my favorite so far.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, exactly. No, totally. But I have absolute faith that Chinese Democracy will be better than the last 4 Metallica records.
All right, you heard it on 94X first. Tom saying it will definitely be better. Okay, well, we hope so as well. That's pretty much it for us. I just want to say thanks for taking the time to talk with us. Of course, you got a big show tonight at the Croatian Cultural Center down there in Vancouver. I know you guys are going to Texas in a few weeks. I was just going to say, hey, if you're looking for something to do, Prince George, it's pretty much like Vancouver, a tiny bit colder. So if you're looking for something to do, come on up here, guys.
Cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, my as I was saying, marrying a Canadian, my wife's parents are actually retiring to this area, so I'm predicting in the future I'll be coming back often.
Hey, we'll appreciate you coming back as much as you'd like. Hey.
Thanks, man.
Awesome, Tom. Thanks again for joining us. And again, good luck tonight. I've been to the Croatian Cultural Center for a few shows, and usually there's a great all-ages crowd usually comes out to those ones.
Should be fun.
All right, man. Take it easy, and good luck on pretty much just what's in the future for you guys, because you're doing great, and we love hearing you, and we want new stuff from you soon, too.
Cool. Thanks very much.
Awesome.
Man.